to things leading us to believe that they may be related. The implications of this theory are that Link's mother, according to the idea, the Queen, fled the castle with Link, but not with Zelda for some reason, across a battlefield during a war to a forest to leave her child with a tree instead of whoever was watching Zelda at the time. When you look at it like this, it seems a bit unreasonable, even if you apply what we talked about with the Lon Lon Ranch theory, where she was trying to create a more safe environment for the rest of her family. There would be plenty of guards to help watch both of them. It would be much safer with all the, with all the guards, with Impa even. It would be much safer in that environment than with a bunch of kids in a tree. I mean, I suppose there are a couple scenarios where this might actually make a lot of sense. Maybe the king, for whatever, ordered them killed for treason or something like that. Who knows? Maybe the king ordered them away because he was too dangerous to have this boy around. It's really hard to tell. We don't have a whole lot of information on that, but there is one more small piece of evidence that may suggest Link belongs in the royal family somewhere. After Impa teaches Link Zelda's lullaby, she says the following: "The song I just taught you has mysterious power. Only royal family members are allowed to learn the song. Remember, it will help you prove your connection to the royal family." I don't really believe that this means that Link is in the royal family or belongs in the royal family, but it could. I more believe that this is the exception to the rule. After all, Impa was okay with a child sneaking into Zelda's chambers, and she really believes Zelda's prophecy is true. So she wouldn't want to get in the way of Zelda's prophecy by not teaching Link Zelda's lullaby, just because he wasn't in the royal family. Number 2. Did any of the different races ever say anything about Ganondorf's evil actions against them? Admittedly, this one is more of a question to think about, again, rather than a theory, but it's one that's been circulating around my comments quite well. And that is that, did any of the races even bother to tell the others about the different actions that Ganondorf was doing to strong-arm them out of their spiritual stones? I mean, the spiritual stones, literally the thing that they are sent to guard as an entire race? Given that these races were recently unified under a single banner, you would think that they would be cooperating in trying to keep the peace. Not to mention that they all have a vital piece to a much larger puzzle in their spiritual stones, literally controlling who is allowed into the sacred realm. I mean, the amount of miscommunications here cannot be understated, and I would really like to know if you have any ideas that can point me towards some facts, maybe to redeem these races. I mean, I'm really hoping that somewhere in the lore it does say, hey, we said something about this, but nobody listened, etc., etc. Number 1, and this is a theory that I actually rather like, as it does clear up some of the plot holes with the Lon Lon Ranch theory or some of the other theories about Link's mother. And that is that Link's family actually lived in the Forest Temple before it was attacked. Of course, the implications of this are that the Forest Temple wasn't necessarily a temple, but more of a manor. It does kind of resemble a manor that maybe like a knight's family might live in, but this theory was brought up not too long ago, actually, and it's a very short and simple theory that covers a lot of the issues that I have with Link's backstory. The theory states that Link's family used to live where the Forest Temple now stands. Again, it kind of resembles a manor. If this manor was attacked at some point during the war, which is probably the most questionable part of this theory when you think about how defensible the area is, with the Lost Woods around the temple and the high ground advantage for a defending force. If it were attacked, it would have a much closer trip to the Great Deku Tree, making it much more likely that Link's mother would actually take Link to the Great Deku Tree. Even though this theory is fairly unlikely, just simply due to the lack of any sort of proof to support it, the reason why I like this theory so much is that it clears the all-too-invasive question of why would Link's mother travel all the way across a battlefield to give her son to the Great Deku Tree? I mean, why would she be that far from civilization in the first place, leaving any kind of safe haven with her child nonetheless? This theory suggests that the Kokiri Forest was actually the closest place for her family to retreat to, which would make a lot of sense if Link's mother was gravely injured, as they say that she was. And she would have no problem getting to the children of the Kokiri Forest. Anyway, thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. It helps me out an awful lot, and thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. It's been an amazing trip. We are close approaching 6,000 as well, so keep them coming. I love all of you. You guys are amazing. Real quick, I'd like to give a quick shout out to my patrons, George Kasner III, Mark Comer, Emai Milanus, Jennifer Campney, and Ryan Ellison. They have been so amazing as to support me on Patreon, helping me make amazing videos, theories, and Let's Play content for all of you. If you'd like to join them in helping me out, I'd greatly appreciate it. A link will be on screen or in the description below. Real quick, I'd like to point you towards my Super Mario 64 Ocarina of Time playthrough. It has been an amazing mod playthrough, and it's basically the two best games of our childhood put together. So where could it go wrong? Anyway, again, thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. Genuinely, thank you so much. I am Newborn Keelik, and I will see you in the next one. I'm out. Hello everybody, Newborn Keelik here, welcoming you back to another awesome Zelda theory. Today we will be taking a look at the potential reasons as to why no one believes Zelda's prophecy during The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, honestly creating one of the biggest plot holes in the game. Real quick, I would like to give a shout out to the user of ZeldaDungeon.net by the name of Castle and their article that inspired this theory. It is honestly a really good read, and they come up with some very interesting points that brings up how Zelda might actually be responsible for Ganondorf coming to power in the first place. Naturally, I would like to add some of my own thoughts to this topic as well as open the door for all of you to discuss it in the comments below. But I'm sure you all know this wouldn't be a Newborn Keelik theory if we didn't overanalyze things, take an incredibly dark look at the game, and paint the royal family in a rather negative light. You all know how I feel about them at this point, hopefully. Anyway, first off, let's go over some basic information as to why Zelda has any credibility in her prophecy. Because after all, she is a kid, and they tend to say some pretty crazy things. First off, we all know that Zelda is of royal descent, and as we find out from the Zelda Wiki, Zelda is actually the moral incarnation of the goddess Hylia, and actually carries on the divine bloodline through her family. Later on in the same article, it states that Zelda has the essence of Nehru, giving her divine wisdom, and this is shown as she is the carrier of the Triforce of Wisdom, so basically this means that she would have wisdom far beyond her years. On top of all of this, Hylians actually share the common characteristics of their elven-like ears. Now this is supposedly to allow them to hear special messages from the goddesses, meaning that not only does Zelda have wisdom beyond her years and a very close tie to the goddesses herself, it's common knowledge that Hylians can actually hear messages from their goddesses, whether these be prophecies or warnings. So all in all, it seems pretty obvious that the king would actually benefit from listening to his daughter. But now, let's talk about some of the potential reasons as to why the king wouldn't listen to Zelda about Ganondorf. And then we can get into Castle's final theory, which is honestly one of the best self-fulfilling prophecies that I've ever heard. It's very well put together. I would definitely recommend checking it out for yourself, or waiting to the end of this video at the very least to check it out. But let's start off with a pretty uncomfortable discussion as to how the king gets his sexy time. Alright, this is a medieval fantasy game, and they have a pure bloodline. And in medieval times, it was pretty common for royalty to practice the old kissing cousin routine, or worse, meaning that Zelda was potentially the product of a family reunion gone a little bit too close for comfort. However, remember what I said about divine bloodline. Well, this works two ways. That means that the royal family would want to preserve the purity of the divine bloodline, but unlike the half-orc family and their really enlarged jaws, their blood and genetics actually were divine, meaning that the negative recessive traits that were generally a hazard of such activities might not exist. Now, if the bloodline truly is divine and assumedly perfect with no negative traits, then inbreeding will have its negative effects limited, though maybe not completely eliminated. After years of inbreeding, a family will still suffer from a severely limited gene pool, so this could mean that, well, very likely, other than the wisdom granted by her connection to the goddesses, Zelda might have a less than stellar IQ, leading the king to doubt her rational thought. Compound this with the fact that Zelda is just a child, and you start to see the reason why the king would doubt his daughter. Something to keep in mind that kind of gives this some credibility is that the bloodline is still pure to this day. Well, to the events of Ocarina of Time anyway. For the bloodline to still be pure, you can't really be introducing a whole lot of outside bloodline. Another short and sweet idea that I had about this whole thing was hearing the goddesses, it might be more of a folklore, and you think of how we see people today that are like, I hear voices in my head. We think they're freaking insane. So maybe the king just thought his daughter was a little bit cuckoo in the head. Well, that's a possibility, I suppose. Fun fact, this scenario actually also seems to draw some parallel to the Greek myth of Cassandra and Apollo. Basically, this myth is that Apollo blessed Cassandra with the gift of prophecy in an attempt to seduce her. After being rejected, Apollo cursed her so that her prophecies would be true, but no one would ever believe her. I don't really think that the two are closely related because Impa seems to believe Zelda, but Still, it's kind of interesting to take a look into the potential influences of some different mythologies. While in one of my other theories, we talked about the river Styx at least once. But then we get into the idea from the thread and the inspiration for these theories. Bear in mind, I will be summarizing here, so checking out the full thread is definitely encouraged. Link will be in the description below. The theory states that the King of Hyrule may have believed Zelda, or at least known of Ganondorf's intentions. However, given the recent unification of Hyrule, the king was likely looking to prevent any sort of confrontation by denying audience with Ganondorf. The theory states that the king may have had some kind of safeguard against Ganondorf's attacks. However, the fact that Link collected all of the spiritual stones and removed the Master Sword, opening up the sacred realm, would have allowed Ganondorf to easily bypass all of these safeguards, effectively ruining all of the character-led plans that the king may have had in order. I mean, have you ever heard the phrase, a self-fulfilling prophecy? This theory by Castle really seems to showcase this idea, and how even the most well-laid plans can be ruined by outside interference. But anyway, that wraps it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I would like to encourage you to check out the original post. The link will be in the description. But also like to nudge you towards my Super Mario 64 Ocarina of Time series. We're having a great time playing it, and it's honestly one of the craziest crossovers. It's everything from our childhood that we love, all mixed into one, and it's amazing. You would love it, I promise. Real quick, I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons, George C.,